You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, welcome to the Middle Age Movie Reviews Podcast. Four guys saying, feast your eyes, clutch your soul on our accursed ugliness. My name is Tim, and my podcasting partners are...
Monster Matt,
Joey,
and Dungeon Master Rick.
All right, Joey, why don't you tell us what we're watching at the Nickelodeon tonight?
Tonight we are watching the 1925 movie The Phantom of the Opera, number 26 from the book of 1001 Movies You Should Watch Before You Die, written by Gaston Leroux, Walter Anthony, and Elliot J. Clausen. Directed by Rupert Julian, Lon Chaney, and Ernst Lemel, and starring Lon Chaney, Mary Philbin, and Norman Carey.
Well, thanks, Joey. All right, now that we are reviewing a 100-year-old film, I'd like to know from Rick, our Dungeon Master, when was the first time you saw Phantom of the Opera?
First time that I saw this was last week, and so, I'm like popping through my streaming, stuff, and I'm like, okay, here is the show that I'm supposed to watch, and I started off and stuff, and I'm like watching it for a few minutes, and I'm like, man, this, for like a really old movie, I'm like, holy smokes, man, this is looking really like crisp with the visuals and stuff, And I'm like, hey, no way, this got to be the wrong one. So I look at what I'm watching, like on the screen and stuff. I move my, mouse and stuff, and I'm like, all right, it says that it is. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm like watching it. It's like black and white and stuff, and there's this auction happening, and they're like auctioning these antiques and stuff, and then they go to this prized piece, and it's this massive chandelier that they are auctioning off, and all of a sudden, I can't remember exactly what happened, but all of a sudden a bunch of colors start showing up in screen, and I'm like, oh no, no, this is not the right film, no. And it just so happened that it was an error in the streaming that I had, and I was actually watching, I think it was like a 2004 or something version of The Phantom of the Opera, which seems super killer, by the way. It made me want to like watch this thing, because I was like, holy smokes, this looks kind of cool. So I ended up finding the original version. Well, I take it back, not the original version. I watched the 1929 version that has the sound, the score added in, and I think it says that it's like not just score. There's a specific word that they use for this version. It is the it is a part talkie version. So there's basically in this version, mostly it's silent, but there is some like bits of voice in there. It's kind of strange the way that it is, because you'll hear people talk, and that's like really distorted, but you can kind of make out what they're saying, but then they still put the dialogue up on the screen in text form too. So last week, first time.
Gotcha. Well, how about our older gentleman in our crew, since this is an old film? When was the first time you saw this movie, Tim?
I don't even like the way you phrase that, sir. I'm not that old.
Welcome to More Than Middle-Aged Reviews.
Well, Sonny, here we are, 100 Centennial Movie Review.
Back in my day when we were able to watch movies at the Nickelodeon for a nickel, we used to say, hey, let me drop a beef so we can watch this, because back then that's what we called a nickel. No, it's not like that. You guys suck. But this is actually my first viewing of this. As everybody knows, I do not like to have to read my movies. I will listen to audiobooks and read books, but I don't want to have to read my movies, so I'm not too big on foreign films, let alone silent films. Again, we picked it for the podcast, so I decided, well, I'm going to have to do it. And then when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, it should be kind of short, right? No, 2 hours. I'm like, oh, you guys are killing me. But I made it all the way through. And, this is my first time, so I have a bit of commentary on it going forward.
Nice. Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is actually my first time viewing the movie in its entirety. I've obviously seen like the classic scenes with the reveal of the Phantom, but for the most part, this too is my first time watching it. I do have thoughts and comments and some serious critiques. And of course, the version I watched, well, I started off watching the plain black and white version, the one that did not have a score to it. Found it very hard to watch, and then I wound up moving into the one that was released in 1929. It looked more like sepia color, and it actually had the score to it. I'll get more into that as of my thoughts, but yes, this is also my first time. How about you, Joey? Was this your first time as well?
I was not a Phantom virgin, although I think the Phantom probably is that character. The first exposure to Phantom of the Opera, I can't tell you exactly when it was. I know it was in clips. Everybody's seen the famous unmasking clip. I probably saw the Ninja Turtles episode Phantom of the Sewers many years before I saw the bulk of this film. The first time I knew the story in and out, it may not have been me seeing the movie per se, or one of the many parodies of or versions. It was probably the Step Up Classic Chillers book for kids called The Phantom of the Opera. We spoke about it on earlier podcasts where they did a lot of adaptations. Like, they were all over the place. King Kong, Frankenstein, I know we talked about it there. They also did a Phantom of the Opera, and I want to say that's the first time I was exposed to the full story, even though it was, a children's version. Yeah, there's a lot of versions of this that have come and gone since in the last 100 years, and I'm certain that that's probably what I saw first, was some other version.
Gotcha, great. Yes, I remember you mentioning about the Chiller novels and during the Frankenstein episode. Tim, since you're our resident horror host, what are you going to request for the synopsis tonight?
Tonight, Matthew, you have found a mysterious note addressed to you, the manager of the Paris Opera House. A message from the Phantom himself, which you will now read aloud, revealing to us his dastardly plan.
My dear managers, take not this message lightly, for I command you from the shadows to do my bidding. For this night a new star will be born at the Paris Opera House. No longer will the undeserving diva Carlotta star in your production of Faust. Instead, the understudy Christine Day will sing the role of Marguerite. Through my tutelage, Christine has mastered the gift of song, foregoing all other distractions. Her former love, Viscount Raoul de Chanay. It is this devotion to I, her master, that will bring your production to new heights. P.S. Vex me not upon this evening, for if you refuse, you will bring a curse on this house. Lest you forget, I lurk in every shadow, and the secrets of this house belong to me. Great misfortunes await you, should you cross me, the Phantom.
Very nice, Matthew. Very nice. Very nice.
Ooh, very cool.
Well, Phantom of the Opera, I have to say, watching this movie, it is 100 years old. Going into this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be expecting a few things. Something's not going to look right. It's going to be hard to watch. And I have to say, going into this, it did not disappoint that it was a little hard for me to watch. Gentlemen, what were your first impressions going into this movie? And I'll go to you first, Tim. What did you first think about watching this film?
Dread. It was dread going into it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Again, not a big fan of having to read my visuals.
Gotcha.
That, on the top of it being a 2-hour film, really just irked me because I'm like, oh, this is just going to go on forever. But, it starts off slow for sure, I think. But I will say it started to pick up around the middle, and it started to keep my attention.
How about you, Rick? What was your first impressions of starting to watch this movie?
I was open to seeing how this thing was gonna go. I was like, all right. I've never really dived too much into not a lengthy silent film, So I was like, all right, this will go all right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it'd be cool, So I was kind of like, I kind of liked actually how long they had the text up on the screen. I'm kind of a slow reader, so I was a little bit worried that oftentimes whenever text is on the screen, it's typically like not there for long enough for me. I'm just too slow with that. But I appreciated how it was up there for a little bit longer. However, as the story went on, it wasn't the text that was the problem. It was everything else was so slow. Like it took them. There's a scene where they're underneath the opera house. Literally took I it was super close to 5 minutes to go from point A to point B, and
Yeah.
like literally nothing happened. So there was moments like that, dude. Like I'm gonna just put this out there. I actually had to watch this, not the whole thing, thankfully, twice, but I had to watch it twice
I did too.
Yeah, me as well.
because I passed out, man. Like I straight up passed out.
I did too. And not that, but did you notice? I felt like the text cards got fewer and fewer the further along we went. You could see
Yeah.
people's lips
That's
flapping,
right.
but they weren't putting any kind of dialogue up.
Yeah, no, they it wasn't super good. And because the one that I had was like the part talkie version, it was interesting that sometimes I would hear people say stuff, but then sometimes you would see just that, Tim. It was just like people moving their mouth, and like I mean, it makes sense that they had to like be more over the top with their acting so that you can kind of get what they're trying to convey on stage or
Yeah,
whatever, without all of the text. But it's like, golly, man, this is not what I'm really looking for.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you'd see them talking paragraphs, and they put up like one sentence or two sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Yeah.
even kung fu movies aren't that bad. I mean, we sit and make fun of those, where the mouth's flat a little longer than the words are. But I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. The title cards definitely were brief, but I do like the fact that they were up there for a long time. How about you, Joey? What was your first impressions of starting to watch this movie?
Well, I gotta say I cheated. I watched it at 2 times the speed, and I had none of the pacing issues you guys did. A few of the lengthier letters, I sped read through them. Maybe that's sped read is not a good word.
Speed reading, yes.
Speed reading? Yeah, let's get that word out of my mouth. Anyhow, I just done speed reading earlier today. I had to do my annual sexual harassment prevention training for work, and I was just blazing through that stuff. So I just blazed through these, and I gotta say, I really was disappointed that the version that I was watching, it had no soundtrack whatsoever. There's no score. But that would have been sped up and sounded a little weird if I would have watched it with sound. And so I was watching it 2 times the speed. The movie had really nice pacing, basically dividing its hour and 45-minute runtime in half. So I definitely got a different experience than you guys. I didn't miss too much. I had to go back and read some of the inner titles again, but some of them are really short, and like you guys said, they left them up on the screen for a long time, and sometimes they were flapping their gums, but it only it summarized to give you the cliff notes of what they said.
I feel like this needs to be a middle-aged movie remake. I think we should take the Phantom, now that it's 100 years, we know it's a public domain, and we should just dub our own dialogue on top of it.
Just dub it.
Next year we'll make the Phantom of the Opera, the middle-aged movie reviews Phantom of the Opera.
Add in some curveballs, every so splash of color every once in a while. Maybe make that lake look a little bit more like a sewer with some browns and greens, and really have fun with it. At the end, when he's clenching his fist, if he has something there, we could turn that into him rolling that into a middle finger before he gets mobbed. That's how she should have played that. That would have been great.
Let's go ahead and dive into the plot then. So it's the 1980s at the Paris Opera House, and
it's the 1980s?
1890s, sorry. 2 centuries ago.
Dude, this deserves a synth 1980s era. A Phantom of the disco? Because disco's dying at that point? No. What would it be? What would the Phantom be haunting?
Yeah, disco. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Why not?
What's the Phantom of the Tech Noir from Terminator?
There you go.
There you go.
So yeah, it's the 1890s at the Paris Opera House, and Comte Philippe de Chauny and his brother, the Viscount Raoul de Chauny, attend a production of Faust, where Raoul's sweetheart Christine Day may sing. Raul wishes for Christine to resign and marry him, but she prioritizes her career over their relationship. Meanwhile, the former management has sold the opera house. While leaving, they tell the new managers about the opera ghost, a phantom who is the occupant of box number 5. It basically sets up the premise of our main characters, and I just thought it was interesting that, like, right off the bat, after the old managers sell the opera house, they immediately say, oh, by the way, don't mind the phantom that's in box number 5. And, it's supposed to give the sense of, I don't know, foreboding, I guess. It was hard to catch my attention as I'm watching this. And I don't know about your guys' print, but I was watching the one on Tubi. There was like a sepia color to it, and then it was like a black and white color, and then it was this weird purple hue on it, and then it changed to like an orange hue. The film stock was really weird, but oddly enough, the picture was kind of clear.
They tinted it on purpose. You were watching the Skittles edition.
The Skittles edition.
But but in all seriousness, there were versions where it's like, before color, let's add a color
Okay.
to what was just black and white. So that's what you were saying.
Well, I think some of these versions too, as they keep reissuing them, different companies, sometimes they would grab film from different sources. They'd grab them from a foreign one, and they'd grab it from the main U.S. release and things like that. So there's a lot of versions of those out there, and I imagine when you start mixing and matching film, and some of the film stock's not even the same, it's not all 16 millimeter or whatever. So I'm wondering if that's why you're seeing differences in the quality and the coloration as you go along.
That's one possibility. I don't think it's the color thing, because he was talking like, you said that there was literal colors, not just sepia tone. It was
like
tints.
A hue or a tint to everything.
That was intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, hue. Like sometimes it'd be a little bit like it was black and white with a little bit of like red, like almost looked like the quality of film was bad kind of red.
Did you actually get like Taco Bell 1990s turquoise?
Because
that was intentional.
See, I didn't get any of that. The version I watched was black and white all the way through.
Okay.
Mine as well.
Okay.
So like there's the scene where the new owners go to check out box number 5, and they first walk up and it's regular black and white. I mean, the quality is crisp, and then as soon as they go into the box, suddenly I have like this tint over everything where the color looks a little orange or almost like sepia, and the quality of the film itself like is now grainy. It's hard to see these guys walk into the box where you used to see the phantom's shadow.
I bet it was because it was a mix and match cut.
Gotcha.
And there's also the fact that it's public domain now, so there might be a version with the different tints that looks good and it's more consistent, but you're gonna have to pay for that. This was something that somebody probably literally took from a VHS copy, or something that was already compressed to shit from a VHS copy that got put out on DVD, and then they ripped that off and they stuck it on Tubi. Who the fuck knows what you're watching? Because if you have a copy, you don't have to pay any money for it anymore.
Well, and the thing is they forgot to copyright this correctly, so it fell into public domain pretty quickly. So everybody was cutting their own versions and putting them out there for years.
Did not know that.
Gotcha. Well, what about you, Rick? What do you think of this opening sequence where we are introduced to Christine and the quote hero of the story?
God, man, it's so funny. It's not funny, man. It's just kind of messed up, dude. Because I mean, this dude, he was a viscount, and he was like straight up one of the first scenes, like proposing, like, let's get married, let's do this thing, and blah blah. And she's all like, no, I want to be an independent woman. All right, like I don't need no man. I'm gonna focus on me. And I'm just like, what the absolute fuck am I watching? This is 100 years ago, man. But I don't know. That's how it was. I guess, she thought that she could make it happen as a movie star, or I should say as a opera star. And it's like, hey, man, it's so annoying because it comes full circle. And I'm just like, God, man, you should have just left this lady. Say it nicely. Should have left her.
She was eager for what this crazy phantom, this psychotic, murderous phantom, was doing for her career.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Until it came full circle, and he wanted something in return. And she found out he was a He was oogly.
Well, it was before that. As soon as she found out that he wasn't some handsome, mysterious, ghost or something, like when she found out he wasn't handsome, but he wasn't mysterious anymore because she found out exactly what was going on, all of a sudden it was like, nah, man, I want to go back to what's his name? I want to go back to Shane. I don't want this no more. Like, oh, get out of here, man. You made your
Yeah.
choice. I don't know. That's me. I don't know. That was the thing that stuck out to me, was the whole love drama in this entire film. I'm just like, oh god, I don't know.
So you're saying our male protagonist should have been like, you know what? You can have her.
Absolutely.
And then when she comes running back, he's like, you're not my problem anymore. Good luck with that.
I mean, this dude seemed like he had some wealth. They bought the opera house or something like that, right?
No, that was different managers.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, that was the
yeah.
other people. Yeah. So, but he seemed like he was
Yeah.
well off enough, man. He could have probably found someone else. I don't even know, man. Maybe it's like small town, I guess, but they're in Paris, so I don't know how that's possible. But yeah.
It's kind of weird the way they even introduced this relationship, because if they had put the card that said he's there to see his love, you wouldn't even know. It's just he's some random dude amongst 10,000 people wandering around this opera house watching this play.
There's a lot of fucking people.
It was like they really went out of their way to try to do some very grandiose shots.
Yeah.
Really take advantage of this opera house that they built, because this whole thing is a stage. This is not an opera house that they filmed in. Like, they built this whole thing on a sound stage, and it sat for years and years and years. I mean, up until I think 2014 when it finally was demolished. But so they really wanted to get their money's worth out of this thing and just have people run around and show all this grandiose stage work that they did. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, there's a love story here. I get it. But the thing that even struck me more than what got you going with it, Rick, was the selling of the opera house, man. You see those four guys sitting in that room. Those two guys that are buying it, we just looked up and took a look at the other two guys. Dude, they look like you could tell they are just dumping a turd. They are so excited. Like, they're frothing at the mouth to get them to sign the paperwork, and they just keep looking at each other. They're just so excited,
Yeah.
And then they finally sign it off and hand them the cash, like, sucker! Now the Phantom is your problem, because this place is haunted and he's a pain in the ass and he's all yours. So I thought that was kind of funny. That did kind of strike me.
I thought it was funny when they were laughing about it. They were like, you jest or something like that. You're joking. It's like, nah, bro, we ain't joking, bro.
Yeah.
See ya.
And then they kind of got that look like, shit, what did we just do? Put in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they go to room 5. They're like, all right, well, let's check this out for real then, I guess.
Another thing I thought was funny was the notary that was there. He's just like sitting there waiting. And as soon as they pass over the paperwork, he pulls out this huge notary stamp, like all happy and everything. And he stamps it and seals it. And
I think that's every notary in the world. If you've ever been to one, they can't wait to get their little stamp out. It's just, it's what they live for.
Their purpose in life has been fulfilled.
Yeah. Your documents cannot be legitimate unless I stamp them.
That's their money shot in the porno that is life.
Right.
It's like they're smiling because they just got paid and they're out of here.
I took like a one-day training course and bought this stamp, and now I make millions of dollars. Not really.
Now that we actually have seen, quote, the Phantom, we then cut to a letter that Carollata brings to the new management. Now, in some cuts, it's Carollata. In other cuts, it's Carollata's mother. So she presents this letter from the Phantom demanding that Christine replace her for the following night, threatening dire consequences if this does not happen. In Christine's dressing room, a voice tells her she must take Carollata's place and think only of her career and her master. Now, I didn't quite get the feeling that she'd been hearing this voice before. To me, watching this, it felt like it was the very first time. But yet, as we move through the movie, you get the sense that she's heard this before, like the start of the film. Did anyone else get that feeling?
I never heard the voice.
No, I didn't get that. Although what I did get was, like, the mother, it seemed to me like she was totally full of it. Like it was some fabricated note that she was trying to play off, like, hey, the Phantom's gonna come and get you guys if you don't do something about this. Otherwise, it's gonna be bad news for you because I commune with the Phantom. Like, you don't commune with the Phantom. You don't even know who the Phantom is. Like, you're totally full of it. That's what I felt like. The scene where where she's hearing these voices and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh god, man, she's just in La La Land. And the funny thing,
It's subtext.
yeah, well, the funny thing is that I think for a very long time it was commonplace for a man to propose and to be locked into that proposal, whereas the woman would have the opportunity to change her mind all the way up to the wedding, and it was seen as normal for a female to change their mind like that.
I don't think weddings cost as much back then either. So you just had the public embarrassment and none of the financial disaster.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, man, because I mean, money different. Money is like the inflations and all that stuff. I think it definitely was costly.
Well, don't forget he's a Viscount, so he's well to do. He's got some money, so obviously they're gonna have something. I mean, we're not talking like a royal wedding that we would have seen back in like 1982. Prince Charles married Diana, but this is it's gonna be up there.
Yeah, no, and he was a well-off guy. He seemed like handsome enough guy, and I'm just like, dude, you gonna pass him? Like, I don't even know, man.
Well, and the thing that throws me off, because the version that I watched, Carlotta that you guys seen, the mother, she's actually Carlotta in the 1925 version.
Okay.
And then when they add sound, they reduce some re-editing, and they change her to be Carlotta's mother, and there's a new Carlotta in the 1929 version. So it's Virginia Pearson in the 1929, but it's Mary Fabian it's Mary Fabian is Carlotta in the 1929 version. Virginia Pearson is Carlotta in the 1925 version, and then changed to Carlotta's mother, and they changed it. So in mine, it was her, and she's in there just giving them the what's what, because she's like, look, I'm the star. There's no way that you're going to let this understudy go on. You need to get this figured out. So that's the way it rolled on mine.
Gotcha. Yeah. Similar principle, though. At least the threat to Carlotta is there, and
yeah, I mean, definitely.
So we get a new title card that tells us that because Carlotta was, quote, sick, she didn't appear, and so the understudy was able to perform, which I thought, okay, is she, quote, sick because she's afraid of being attacked by the Phantom, or did the Phantom do something malicious to the point where she couldn't show up? I'm leaning more towards the fact of, she was scared. Anyone else got any other thoughts as to why she wouldn't appear that evening?
I think because nobody else is willing to stand up to the Phantom. All these people seem paralyzed of this guy. It's an opera house. It seems like if they really tried hard, they might be able to find this guy, although apparently there's 10,000 levels of dungeon underneath, so that's how he's able to evade them all the time. And there's, as with every great Scooby-Doo episode we've ever seen, there's secret passages and all kinds of stuff all over this place. So apparently that's why they can't hunt him down, and they seem to live in mortal fear of him. So I think she's kind of like, well, if all these men are just going to kind of, wuss out on me, I guess I'm going to need to be sick because nobody's going to protect me. That would be my take.
At this point, have they found the guy hanging yet?
No, not yet.
I'm guessing some other awful shit was implied has happened in the past, though. And to be fair with what Tim said, I think the terminology they said was the third cellar. So, there's definitely more than one. There's a basement, there's a sub-basement, and then there's the fucking lake. I don't know.
Yeah.
The sub basement. Yeah. At one point, I think that he says something like, oh, we're like 7 levels down or something. Because for whatever reason, this opera house, unlike in America where it would be built over an Indian burial ground, is somehow built over the top of some kind of ancient torture chambers. I don't know if there was a castle or something there. So, it's got its kind of own heebie-jeebie history to it.
Yeah, they kind of play off the fact that it's supposedly the torture chamber from the Great Terror that took over France. And if you're familiar with any kind of French history, the Reign of Terror was after they executed all the royalty in France. They started executing a lot of other people, and they would torture people and everything, all in the name of, some new republic that they were forming that eventually led to the rise of Napoleon. But this isn't about French history. This is about a French opera house, which evidently was built on top of a torture chamber.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of relevant because that's kind of his origin story, because it's the French Revolution is what these were used for.
Right.
That was my understanding from what I read, and he was born and imprisoned during that time. I don't know why they imprisoned some small child, but that's kind of some of the story is that he was imprisoned during this time down there and held for a very long time, and then I think transferred to an insane asylum and then escapes or something like that. It's a little sketchy, but that's more or less the history of it all. So I think
one of the versions they said ants ate his face, and that the Arab guy rescued him.
See, because they never really state why he looks the way he does.
No, not in the version we watched. Yeah.
But ants in his face. So is that where they get, ants in my eyes from Rick and Morty?
Ants in my pants.
Ants in my eyes, Johnson. I'll sell anything, anywhere, anytime. I can't see it.
Well, anyway, so during the performance, Christine is now substituting for Carollata in the reveal of Marguerite. And the managers are startled to see seated in box 5 a figure who later disappears. Simon Baquette then finds the body of his brother stagehand Joseph Baquette hanging by a noose and vows vengeance. The following evening, a defiant Carlotta sings. During the performance, the Phantom drops the chandelier hanging from the ceiling onto the audience, killing people. Christine enters a secret door behind the mirror in her dressing room and descends the lower depths of the opera house, where she meets the Phantom, who introduces himself as Eric and declares his love for her. Now, I thought it was interesting that the way that they showed that chandelier falling onto the audience, it looked like people really got hurt.
Yeah. Unless they magically somehow shot that in reverse and like people are under it and then they pulled it up. I'm not sure. And then they played it in reverse really fast, so it looks like all of a sudden it came down on them. That would be how I would do it.
Maybe it wasn't supposed to come down at all. It just like happened.
Oops. It's in the movie.
Hey, it was a great shot. We're gonna leave it in. So that 5-minute clip of what I saw from the 2004 version with Gerard Butler and Amy Rossum, that first scene, I'm pretty sure it's that chandelier is part of the movie.
Oh, okay.
So I actually really want to watch this movie, the 2004 version. And like I said, it looked really cool. And I was supposed to watch it before coming on, and then I wanted to watch it with my son, but it didn't really work time-wise and stuff, unfortunately. But that I thought was kind of cool, actually. And did you guys notice that, like, when the Phantom shows up, like, everyone's in masks and stuff, but yet everyone realized immediately that this was the Phantom? Like, everyone's like, oh, man, this is the Phantom. Like, how do you even know that's the Phantom? Everyone else got masks.
He said it was the same voice. So he's the red mask. And plus he was scary as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Everyone was partying. They're probably all drunk, and all of a sudden everyone just stops as soon as he shows up. I don't even know, man.
Or you talk about when he was dressed up like the Red Death?
Yeah.
My question is why does he hang that guy to begin with?
I know.
When Carlotta goes on, he drops the chandelier in punishment. So was hanging that guy just like a preemptive, like, look, I ain't messing around. You're going to keep putting on Christine, or else, even worse things are going to happen. I don't really understand what that has to do with anything.
It was either a counterweight or it was an accident. Like, the chandelier was held up by some rope, and in order to release the chandelier, he had to cut some rope. So either he was the counterweight so that not everyone down at the bottom would die, so his body had to be raised up, or he just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he got tripped up by the rope as it was flying into the air, and he just got caught into a noose, and then he's dead, because it doesn't explain it. I watched it several times. I'm like, why did this guy die, dude?
That can't be right, though, either, because later on we're going to learn there's a whole section where they have to wander around with their arm up, because apparently that's that guy's MO, is hanging people.
Yeah.
It's true.
It kind of goes with the theater, because you have all the ropes and everything that's like being, with the curtains and whatnot. If you've ever been backstage at like a theater, like there's all the ropes. It's a little swashbuckling.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Of sorts.
But still,
so that's our first train of thought. And the other train of thought is like, well, when he's on the other side of that false mirror, and she's heard his voice before, so he's back there choking himself. And she hears him, maybe not talking, but maybe David Carradine himself.
David Carradine in it. But why did he hang that guy?
He knew too much about him.
Question, Matthew, why did he hang the guy?
Yeah, I'd say he knows. He's seen him several times, because he was the guy that.
Yeah, he was dishing on the Phantom.
The one stagehand coming down with all the ballet dancers, and he sees his brother and he tells him about the Phantom, how he's
Yeah.
seen the Phantom, he's seen this. He was giving the old skinny on
Ah.
Eric there, and I think that's why he 86'd him.
Okay. I'm gonna admit that might have been the part where I dozed a little.
Yeah, that's the only motivation I can think of, is because the Phantom had seen him and he saw the Phantom, and so it's like, well, moment of opportunity, I'm gonna get rid of this guy because he's seen me back here before.
Well, and then to add to that, they know this dude sits in box 5 all the time. I don't know, have some guys waiting, ready to go. It seems like a no-brainer. We know where he's gonna show up.
Yeah, I mean, just hire a couple of police officers to just check out the booth every once in a while. When the guy does show up, just take him out.
Yeah.
Go up to Brooklyn real quick. Just a bada bing, bada bing. Sit. It's over.
You got some problem with the Phantom? We take care of that for you.
So now Christine is kidnapped, abducted by the Phantom, and we get this long, drawn-out escort down to his sanctuary. And did anyone else get the feeling that this thing was just going to keep going on and on
Yeah,
and
dude.
on?
Yes, it took forever.
It goes on so long, the dude had to have a horse to transport her down there. What the hell is a horse doing down there? I mean, good God, there's a horse, there's a boat. She passes out conveniently right at the horse so he can carry her on it. Oh my God.
And where there's horse, there's shit.
Yeah.
And lots of it. So it's bad.
It's too much, man. Yeah, and you notice, she was down for going into that mirror. Look, I am not, if I hear some strange voice telling me to go into the mirror, I ain't doing it. I'm not going into no motherfucking mirror, okay? No, I am not doing it. And I get how it's old, so they didn't have CGI for them to maybe go through the mirror. They kind of open a door of the mirror from like a secret door or something. I ain't going through a mirror. I'm not doing it, okay? Fuck that. I'm not going through a fucking mirror. I don't care who you are.
But
I'm out, bro. Some Phantom talking to me.
He's her biggest
no,
fan.
Man, I'm gone, okay?
She makes all her money on only mirrors.
No, fuck that. I don't care what you tell. You tell me, hey, you're going to be a singing star. No, I'm not going to be a singing star. I'm going to be alive, bro, okay?
Going through no mirror. I'm not walking to some fantasy land through a closet. I'm not doing none of this. None of this shit's happening.
But here's the kicker, bro. So once she goes through the mirror, she's like, well, that's a letdown. Who the fuck are you? She sees this dude. She's thinking she's going to see Gerard Butler. Nah, dude. This dude looked like straight up Nosferatu, bro. Alright? Especially when she's able to, figure out what he really looks like. Hey, where's Shaney at? I'll go find Shaney real quick. I'm sure I'll be back. Don't worry about me. I promise you I'll be back. No, god dang, man. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man.
She's expecting Fabio.
Yes.
It's a 90s, damn it. It should be Fabio. Why aren't you Fabio?
Well, I do have to give the Phantom props because he is wearing a very big hat, a very, musketeer-like hat. And
we find out why.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
He's also a baldy.
No, yeah. I mean, the mad props for his game, dude. He's got some serious game, all right? He's really, all until the very end when he, really is like, hey, this is who I am and stuff. He had some pretty serious game. He's all like, hey, I can do this for you, and I'm mysterious and stuff. Once he meets her, that's when he ain't got no game.
But where's the dude getting all the money for this? I mean, he's living in this labyrinth apartment that's really decked out. It's all, it's all 1890s, awesome and stuff. He's got these fine clothes.
He stole that shit.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. But still, he's got to drag that down. He's got to drag the horse down. He's got to drag his
gondola.
His big organ down there. He's got his giant, boat bed and his boat. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to be dragging down by yourself.
He has no friends. He has to have a lot of hobbies.
I guess. Well,
he likes boats. He likes jerking it behind mirrors. And he takes care of his horse.
And he's got killer costumes, although those I'll give him, he probably stole them from the production. So I'll go with that one.
All the time in the world to practice. Great acoustics.
There's super nice rugs down there. It's like the cleanest dungeon I've ever seen. It's the most immaculate place ever.
It's like the dungeons from History of the World when the one dude is asking all these questions like here's our plan and all this. Oh god, dude.
Yeah, it's an interesting set. I have to say the least. And yeah, I was starting to fall asleep about this part because I fell asleep probably about 45 minutes into the movie, and of course that's when we get the really cool big reveal that it's been on every clip show for every Phantom of the Opera that I know of, and it is kind of neat that we finally get to see that reveal.
It's terrific makeup.
I gotta lend it to Lon Chaney. I guess he was the one that came up with the idea for the makeup for the Phantom of the Opera, and it is very iconic, very cool. And I didn't realize this, but he did have like a hat on a hat because he's bald. He had like a fez attached to his mask, so theoretically, he have like a hat on top of a hat?
It was weird, like that. It was so distracting watching that stuff kind of float when he talked. It almost reminded me of like Zoidberg from Futurama, or it's moving the whole time or whatever.
Yeah, he had like rug tassels at the bottom of the mask. I didn't remember that, but there it was.
Yeah, it was really weird. But I agree with you guys.
Probably to cover up his fact that he has no fucking lips.
Yeah. But I will admit, I'm right there with you guys. As far as the makeup, oh my God, dude, it looks so good. I mean, that is some creepy stuff. And Lon Chaney developed that whole look himself, which is really pretty awesome for an actor to take that kind of time. And he was so proud of it. He told the studio, like, look, nobody can take pictures of this. There'll be no promotional. I don't want anybody to see it. He wouldn't even put it on at the studio. He would put it on at home, and then he wore a fake mask while he was driven to the studio so nobody could see it. And the first time that Mary Philbin sees him with the mask off, that is her actual reaction, because she had not seen it either. So she was just like, what the hell? Like, it just freaked her out. So that is a true reaction to his makeup. It's amazing. Just amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it truly does look very deformed. It definitely makes you think, okay, what happened to him in the torture chamber to look this way? Then we get the enraged Phantom as he declares she is now his prisoner, and she begs him to let her sing, and he relents, allowing her to visit the surface one last time if she promises not to see Raoul again. But of course, as Rick has pointed out several times, she's not a woman of her word, and she does wind up seeing Raoul again during a masked ball, which I thought this is kind of very tangential to the story. I'm like, why do we suddenly have this ball that everyone's at? What does this really have to do with the movie? And I guess it's just to kind of give you more of a scope and to give this really excellent reveal, like Rick had said earlier about, the Phantom being dressed up as the Red Death. I thought that was a really cool costume as well. What did you guys think of the Red Death? And I'm particularly interested in what you thought, Tim, since you saw it purely in black and white, because I know watching the cut on Tubi, they actually colorized this bit, so he really stood out in his like robes and everything as the Red Death.
Yeah, he totally was red.
What did you think of it, Tim?
I think it was really cool. I mean, that costume was off the hook. I'm just looking at that thing going, I can't even make anything that looks that nice, especially that skull. And it was not real fitting for the festive party that was going on. And I think, to answer your question, Matt, is that I think that's a big to-do yearly in Paris, France. I think they kind of alluded to that's a yearly festival or gathering that everybody goes to, this big dance or whatever, ball, whatever you want to call it. Why they all decided that they should host it at the Opera House, and I don't know, not a ballroom of some sort, which would make far more sense. Again, I think they blew all their budget on one set and 27 levels of underground, so there was no more room for a ballroom.
Right.
But outside of that, yeah, I mean, it was really cool. It looked sharp. I liked the costume. But I'm with Rick's observation earlier too. It's like, how did everybody know that that's who he was? And I guess there are times when he somehow is able to talk to the whole Opera House. I don't know how he is able to project throughout the whole place and they can hear him.
He was a booming voice. Yeah, but you don't see that in this version. You have to read title cards and you don't understand that a bunch of people heard him sounding off.
I guess when he speaks, they know what his voice is. But then again, it begs the question, okay, we're all at this ball. Here's this guy dressed as the Red Death. He talks and we know that he's the Phantom. I don't know. There's like several hundred of us in him. I'm thinking mob rules here. Why don't they go after this guy?
Later it does.
Because there's been no gunplay or anything like that. So, unless he's got a bunch of booby trap buttons that he's carrying around with him all the time, I think this is a good time to nab him and just, I don't know, beat the ever-living shit out of him for dropping a chandelier. Plus, why would you go back to the Opera House when this dude's dropping chandeliers on people? like a bunch of people just got maimed and killed the other day sitting in there, and now they're back. They're like, you know what? Doesn't matter because we're all going to drink and, frolic and be merry.
Yeah, man, there's a party, man. Fuck, there's a party.
We got nothing to do.
And what about that thing that happened yesterday? Nah, man, there's a party, bro.
They're doing keg stands off the old chandelier. It's still there.
Drink.
A lot of stuff's word of mouth, too, so maybe not the whole city heard about that the other day. So they're just like, fuck it, we're going to go to the ball. And that's why he dressed up.
It looked like the whole city was there.
Yeah, about to say, gossip like that probably spreads like wildfire, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably 4 chandeliers by the time it got around town.
But yeah, for sure.
4 fucking chandeliers fell, killed 300 people. But yeah, the Mask of the Red Death was first published in 1842, and so because that has a big masquerade ball in it, that's why he dressed up like the Red Death, because he was trying to be clever, and he probably stole that shit from a production of the Mask of the Red Death.
There we go.
There you
so
go.
It's drilled down to the core of the question, Matthew.
All right. Well, the Phantom dressed as the Red Death does see Christine talking to Raoul, and Raoul has plans to take her away from all this, but not until the next night when they can make their escape. The next night during the performance, Christine is kidnapped, and Raoul rushes to her dressing room, and that's when he meets the man in the fez again, the Inspector Ladeau, a secret policeman who has been tracking Eric since he escaped as a prisoner from Devil's Island. All right, so I don't know if I fell asleep through parts of this, but this was the first time I seen the Inspector, and I'm like, where did this guy come from? Was there like a big reveal from him like earlier in the film? Tim, can you help me out here?
No, man, he kind of showed up, and I'm like, who is this guy now? I was kind of just like you were, and he was kind of creepy and weird. I'm like, is this the Renfield for the Phantom? That's all I could think of. Like he was like the Phantom's familiar or something. He just kind of had a total creeper vibe, like he was working for him or something, and he was going to lead her love astray or something. But he's like, no, I work for the secret police, but I have no gun.
Yeah.
It was just like, this dude's not adding up. I don't know. It's all kinds of weird.
At one point, they wanted to accentuate the way he was appearing in shadows, so like he literally had like half of his face painted white and the other kind of black. Am I wrong on that? Like, there's this scene where they made him look super creepy, and I think like they just literally painted his face because they couldn't get the lighting quite contrasty enough.
I think the dude was already creepy.
Yeah, he was pretty creepy.
Yeah, he was a red herring. Like, they wanted you to think he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Or at least the other characters. Like, well, the audience might say, well, that's not the fucking Phantom. We've seen him in 2 different places. But you might think he's in cahoots with him, and the people around him become suspicious, so they're therefore not aiding in his noble quest because he's a creeper.
I found it difficult to keep track of characters, particularly because, number one, we couldn't have any voice recognition if a character talked, whether they were on screen at the time or not. We could never hear their voice to identify, this is this person who speaks like this and that person speaks like that, so when I hear them, that's who they are, whether I see them on screen at the time or not. So you didn't have that. And you also didn't have in the text slides, it didn't actually say who it was that was talking. You're just kind of supposed to know the person who's on screen moving their mouth was the person talking. But because of the limited number of text cards without any name recognition attached to them, it made it really difficult to follow who's who in the movie. At least for me, that's how I felt. While it's very possible that we did see this person earlier in the film at some point, like as a small little introduction to come back to later. I don't know. I don't even know, man. Honestly, I thought it was really, really hard to keep track of that kind of stuff because of these reasons.
I think just because there's so many people wandering around in this opera house all the time, it convolutes it too, because a lot of times you see the scenes with these characters and they're standing amongst 150 other people. So and the costume changes are pretty dramatic too, because sometimes he's dressed almost in a military uniform, and another time he's kind of formal, and then he's dressed for this masquerade ball. How the two of them find each other during that masquerade ball is beyond me.
Right,
I have no idea, because they all kind of are dressed the same too, to some degree. I mean, there's only so many costumes. I mean, apparently there's the Red Death, ballerina, a bunch of just masks, and then the Phantom if you want to go as him.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the costume choices at that point.
And even the video wasn't like, 4K or anything for like visual acuity or anything like that, so there were shots that were a little bit blurry or dark and far away and hard to really see, especially characters that weren't very prominent in the film, like when you had the parts where the mob was forming and the guy's brother dies or something, it's like, who is this guy, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even his brother, you don't really understand that that's his brother, and he's some kind of detective or policeman of some sort too, but he's sitting in a different box from his younger brother. Yeah, it's really hard to keep track of these people, and they just don't have a lot of screen time.
Right.
That's the other thing. It's, and when they do, again, and most of it's very convoluted because there's so many people, it's just hard to follow it.
Yeah, it does get hard to follow. So we get the secret police guy, and I just thought it was weird that suddenly he knows all ththese different back rooms and everything for the opera house, and I'm just like,
yeah, man, he was the dude who was like, oh yeah, the mirror. I'm like, dude, what? How'd you know about that, bro? Why did you go in there before?
yeah. But again, I think we're kind of constrained by the production of the film too, because I mean they probably couldn't go too far into any kind of background stuff because of how limited they were in shooting movies. It would be my guess. How about you, Joey? Any thoughts as to why they wouldn't have elaborated more onto this particular secret police guy?
I think it's just one of those things where it's lost in translation. Maybe on stage they were saying a lot more, and they're like, that doesn't fit on the title card. People understand enough. Move on.
Gotcha.
We're losing the audience. They're falling asleep. Move along. Move along.
And move along they do, because they go through the magic mirror and into the subsection of the opera house.
I'll tell you what, they didn't move along fast enough, man. It took them like 20 minutes to get down the seven layers of hell or whatever the fuck they would go.
Well, I mean, come on. They got to find a torch. They got to carry their arm up all the time so they don't get hung somehow. I mean, a lot of things they got to do while they're wandering around down there. They got to avoid horse droppings. It's a mess.
And they fall down 2 holes.
Yeah.
How many trap doors are there? Just the one, or was there like...
No, there's the trap door on the stage, and then there's a trap door in the Phantom's bedroom, and then there's another trap door that those guys find
in
when
the oven.
Well, we'll get to that one, but yeah, there's at least 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're walking around, and like Tim had said, they have to walk around with one arm up because they're convinced that they'll suddenly get strangled from behind, and that having one arm up, I guess, is to prevent the rope from going all the way around your neck, so you can prevent it from grabbing you, like you see in all those TikTok videos of people like getting out of some invisible person attacking you with your seatbelt in the backseat of your car.
Yeah. You just gotta get that one finger.
You know what? I thought that was kind of cool, but it's almost like walking around with your hand like a sword, like all tight, and then putting it right next to your nose, just so that nobody can like eye gouge you. Someone's gonna eye gouge you. Put your hand right there. You gotta block it.
It's like Mo.
Right. Yeah, but here's my thought. If I'm wandering around this dungeon with any of you dudes, and I'm like, hey, this guy might drop a noose and try to hang one of us, but there's 2 of us, so please pull the noose off my neck. There's 2 of you. One's getting choked. One can take the noose off that dude. It just seems like there's, can be some strategery there if you work it right.
Well, in the original script, they used to know each other back in the day, so he knows the Phantom is like Carradine himself and is really good with knots, so like he knows what's up. He's like, we got to put one arm in the air, or they're just going to Carradine us like he does himself.
Yeah, but again, he's only one man. I don't think he's strong enough to choke 2 grown-ass men at the same time.
He's been working out his left and his right arm for decades. Mirror action.
Bro.
You're really trying to get this Carradine thing to take off.
It's a
aren't
verb
you?
now, man. It's a verb.
He's working that angle hard. How often can you use that? This movie just cries for it.
I'm going to use it until I die. That'll probably be my last dying words.
I got a feeling that the alternate title for this one is Carradine as a verb.
Phantom of the Carradine.
There you go. Yeah, so our 2 heroes are walking through this enormous labyrinth. As I said, they fall through one trap door, and then, of course, they fall through another trap door into what was once a torture chamber, and it's basically a room of mirrors. I thought it was kind of neat scene, but really what threw me off was later on when the Phantom and Christine are in his lair, and we discover that she can hear them in the other room, and the Phantom turns on a special switch, and now the entire room is getting extreme heat. Where'd the heat come from?
For sure. That's what I was going to say just a minute ago. Not only that, but the mirrors. Where's he getting like 10,000 mirrors? Like, you know what? I've built my my posh pad down here and stuff. What else can I do? I know. I'm going to make a hall of mirrors just in case somebody finds me down here so I can put them in there.
I accept the mirrors because he's been stealing all this shit. I don't accept the oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
And instantly, you know how much people would kill to have their house heat up that fast? Whatever that guy was using, if he had just sold it, it wouldn't matter how ugly it was. Like, I can heat your home in like 20 seconds. Flip the switch, bam, whole house is like 70 degrees. You're done, you know?
You're in the wrong business, man. You need to get out. You got to get out of theater, okay? You got to get into HVAC, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, man. For me, this scene reminded me of that scene in Indiana Jones where I can't remember what it was, but I think his foot is burning or something. Indiana Jones' foot is burning, and he's like, water, water, water.
Oh,
And then he
right.
looks and sees all the flooding water coming towards him. This is in Temple of Doom, and he's like, water!
Well, not only are these guys baking, but they just drop to the ground. Like, he flips that switch, like, oh,
Yeah.
that's it. They're on the ground. It's like, what the hell, dude? It's like, you're not even going to try to find your way out of here. They just drop it to the ground and let themselves bake.
One thing I have to say about a visual cue that I thought was neat in the cut that I watched is anytime they would cut back to the guys in that room, the entire film stock was then red. Got the feeling that, oh, hey, they're supposed to be in this, it's so hot and temperature-wise that they made the film stock look red.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm going to say it for you. This was like a bad Star Trek episode. Like original Star Trek where they're like, oh my God, they're on the ground. Oh, we're going to bake to death. Oh, the rescues us soon. Wear the red shirts.
Well, all the shirts were red. The film stock was red. And, you know, how did they get out of that? Because at one point you see the ground is like sand and there's like a hole or a void that pops up all of a sudden. That I didn't get.
Well, no, he's down there, and apparently he can't get up or look for anything, but he's digging his hands through the sand. He's like, hey, I know we're baking to death in this easy bake oven room, but I think I feel another trap door. The guy's like, open it! So that's how they get out. They open that, they find that trap door, and then they fall down in there. And then, you know, Rick's water rescue is on its way here from a la Temple of Doom.
Yeah, but before we see the flooding of Temple of Doom, we do get to see another death by the hands of the Phantom in a very clever way. I thought it was kind of neat that you see this giant doorbell, I guess, on the wall, and you see these hands like coming up bringing the doorbell.
Yeah, what was that thing? I just called it the knocker.
It kind of reminded me of those Chinese cats at the restaurants that had the one arm that goes up and down, but only this was like two arms. But yeah, it was like a warning detection system, and that's where we get to see the Phantom take out a caller who happens to be Raoul's brother. And Raoul's brother gets all the way down to the freaking gondola. The Phantom has this clever idea, like he's a scuba diver all of a sudden, or a snorkeler. And he grabs this like hollow reed and he goes in the pond or in the river to go knock over the boat. And I just thought, well, that's kind of clever.
Dude, this is the oldest reference I've ever seen to that trick. You know, it's a very over the top trick. It like every cartoon I've ever seen has used it. You know what I mean? And I'm always like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, obviously that works because yeah. I mean, you could totally breathe air through a reed or straw or something like that. So sure, that would work.
Yeah.
This is the oldest reference that I've ever seen to that little trick. Now, I don't know if this is where it comes from. Maybe it's way even older than that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. That he's supposed to be a ghost. I don't know, man.
Well, it's so stupid too, because like I'm going to go wait in the water, and when he gets close, I'm gonna dump him out of the boat. It's like falls over. It's like, hey, dumbass.
How about this one? Why is the boat even over there? They took the boat over to where his hideout is. Why is the boat back over there? How did it get there? Who fucking put it over there?
The current.
The horse. The horse. Or trained horse, man. Trained horse. Yeah, it's just like, oh, well, as long as this guy can't swim, I got it made. But
well, it's the only thing moving towards the boat. Now, maybe it's dark down there and you couldn't see it, but if you've seen a hollow reed coming your direction, wouldn't you think that there's something tied to it?
Yeah, since it's the only thing in the water.
Yeah.
Not to mention, as Joey pointed out, we're pretty sure this is not water. I think they even mentioned it's like stagnant water or whatever. You know, it's probably sewage, you know, kinds of stuff.
Underground lake, but it's if it ain't flowing, it's even if it is,
this can't. So
it's old.
If it ain't flowing, it's growing.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the Phantom's under there breathing through a tube, but he's got to open his eyes to see the boat come. So now he's just like, dude, just like none of this can be good. At the end of it, you're dying. You're gonna die.
But I do have to say it was kind of neat that, after he kills the brother and he decides that he's going to kill the vice count and our detective inspector, that he gives the choice to Christine. You have two choices. You could either turn the grasshopper or you can turn the scorpion. And it was neat how it was all just tied to something. So I'm assuming that if she turned the grasshopper, the powder kegs of gunpowder that we find in this hidden room underneath his chamber would blow up, thus not only eliminating the opera house, but killing everybody else, killing the Phantom as well. Poor idea, in my opinion.
Seems so elaborate for no fucking reason, bro. I've got these two gigantic insects, right? You turn this one and this happens, and you turn this one and this happens, and she's over there thinking and thinking and thinking, and it's like, what the fuck is happening, man? I feel like I'm watching Austin Powers over here, okay? Like, what the fuck is going on,
Takes the
man?
hand a couple times over each one of them and shake it up.
Yes, the audience is like, ooh, she's gonna pick. Oh, she's gonna pick.
No! And all I can sit here and think is, shit, any moment, Adam West is coming through this fucking door as Batman. He's gonna end this fucking thing. This is fully 1966. Yeah, this is a 1966 Batman plot right here, man. Totally. It's the craziest freaking thing I've ever seen.
Yes, maybe the Phantom was a Bond villain, or not a Bond villain, Batman villain. Yeah. So, and of course, she overly dramatically turns the Scorpion, thus draining the pool of cesspool water into the cavern that her boyfriend and the detective are in, and we get this really cool scene where they submerge in the water and they come back up, and it's then revealed because she says to the Phantom, save him and I'll do anything you want. So he pulls the rug out and hits a special thing, and this other trap door opens up, and I'm thinking this is very much like, I don't know, like the movie Saw, where you have all these different traps within traps. What'd you guys think of that?
Well, and now that, but where does he get the gunpowder?
He's still.
We've explained all the other cool stuff that he's getting, like he's finding, but not only this, the dude has evidently enough time to, I don't know, ground out and create his own barrels of gunpowder that he's selling. So was he selling these to people?
He stole those too. But let's focus on the engineering. Like, he didn't steal that. Well, maybe the grasshopper and the scorpion itself, but he had to engineer those into being levers and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't something he stole. So this guy's he's got a lot of talents that really just didn't, he could have made a whole career out of and been very, very wealthy.
So
and then he could have paid for sex.
I thought that those gunpowder came from, I remember somewhere in there they made a reference to the Second Revolution or something like that. So I thought that maybe he was just I don't know, stockpiling for the Second Revolution. I don't know, man. That's the only thing I can think of.
So he's all like, yo, John Valjean, you want some gunpowder? Got gunpowder right here.
Yes. That, by the way, I think it was a 1990s version of that was my favorite, man. The one, I think, who was it? Who was Jean Valjean in that one? It was the guy.
Hugh Jackman?
No.
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Yes, man. That one was really good, man. That was really good.
Yeah, I've only seen the one with Hugh Jackman in it. Well, honestly, Tim, I want to just point out the fact that if Kirk can create gunpowder while he's battling the Gorn in that classic Star Trek episode, I'm pretty sure a Phantom who's not doing anything else in his sub basement can work on making some gunpowder.
He's creating trap doors, evidently water traps. Again, the guys are like, "Oh, we're so hot, water," and then there you go, Rick, water. These guys, he's gonna drown him after he told. After he told her, "Look, I will save his life if you choose correctly." She's like, "I gotta choose life." And she turns, it's like drowning his ass with water. I've baked him to death.
I will make sure he doesn't burn to death.
Yes.
But now he's gonna drown.
But no, he flips the switch, and the trap door opens up underneath, and it looks like stone and everything. I'm like, wow, this guy really he's got some engineering talent. Maybe if he wasn't horribly disfigured. Maybe he could have been like the next, Gaston Eiffel.
Phantom of the Engineering.
So yeah, he saves Raoul at the behest of Christine, and Christine's sitting there oogling over her boyfriend, and that's when the Phantom's like, all right, I've had enough of this, we're out of here. And so he grabs her, and they hightail it out of there. That's when the mob starts coming down, because for some odd reason now the mob's being led by the brother of the stagehand that apparently knows where the Phantom's been hiding, and they managed to go down 7 stories of sub-basement, past the horse, through a now emptied out river to his little hideaway. And of course, the first thing they see is the poor detective laying there, sprawled out. I don't know about you guys, but all of a sudden everything like sped up real quick as you see them like fleeing and chasing down the guy. And I'm like, finally some action, but it's all shot at like a high rate speed, like maybe like 20 frames per second.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt very fast. Very clippy.
A very big change of pace for sure.
Yeah. Poor Christine's getting, pulled along and thrown in a what the English would call a Johnny cab as the Phantom takes off with this cab, and proof to the point that monsters can't drive, okay? I mean, somehow the woman manages to jump out and he crashes the coach. Yeah, it was.
Don't drive distracted, Matthew. Don't drive distracted.
Okay, yeah. We get the final showdown at the edge of the river of the Seine, and we watch as the massive horde attack Eric, the Phantom, and beat him, and then chuck him into the river. Because, what else are you going to do with a dead body? Just chuck it in the river, thereby ending the film. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of a harsh ending. Fast and quick, and yeah, it was hard for me to watch.
I don't know. I enjoyed his last moment, fame where he's like, I have something in my hand, and they're all like, no, not really. Like, you son of a bitch, and he just started beating him.
So Joey, what's your final thoughts on the end of this film?
It needed a little bit more, but there's a lot of like these older films just kind of over, and I do think like having credits at the end, like we're used to, like you can kind of process an abrupt ending, but for when it's just fini and it's over, it's just like, hey. You feel kind of like it's strange. I mean, they have a little bit of a prologue, but I mean, not much. It's just kind of it's abrupt. I do love that he fucked with them. That was actually one of the better parts of the movie. So yeah, like at the end of the day, like you guys were right. It's like the angry mob would have prevailed much earlier in the film, but then it would have just been over. They're like, oh God, we were right. This is the Phantom. Look how fucked up his face is. They're like, this guy's a creep.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he killed anybody. Just let's throw him behind bars. Jesus Christ, he's scary. And he would have probably blabbed it all, and then they would have found all the elaborate, Bond villain traps that he has. So it's an ending. And there's been worse ones. Dracula was way worse. That was just fucking over. And it was just like,
Yeah, well, at least here we actually see the demise of the villain, whereas in Dracula, it's just done off camera with an audio cue. What about you, Tim? What do you think of the end of this film?
So yeah, I found it interesting. Like you said, the pace picks up pretty quickly. It's interesting that she jumps out, he gets all flabbergasted, doesn't really pay attention, rolls the carriage. And then he's on foot, and it's just, it's like, they're all chasing him through the town. He's looking back. He's like, it's pretty entertaining in that. But, yeah, they eventually catch up with him. He gets his final, 1 second feign where I don't know what he thought he was going to do. I think if he was smart, he'd be like, I got something in my hand. They all step back. He should have jumped in the water and tried to swim away. But apparently he didn't have his little bamboo tube, so he was screwed. And then they just pummel him. Mob justice apparently works in France in the 80s. And I guess when there's that many people in the city that beat one guy to death, the cops are kind of like, you know what? Nothing to see here. Move along. There's going to be no investigation or anything. It's all over.
Gotcha. Well, how about you, Rick? What are your final thoughts on the end of this film? This being our first silent film that we did.
Yeah, I found it as really strange. Like sometimes when I'm playing video games, your character can't cross water. Like swimming is a foreign technique or whatever. So it's like these NPC mob, they didn't unlock water swimming yet, so they had to wait until the water drained before they could cross the area, and actually they know where to go. They just can't go into the water for whatever reason. But the Phantom, too smart, man. He's got that read, and he can breathe underwater and see underwater and all this stuff. Like, I don't know, man. And then when the kicker for me at the very end was he's like, yeah, man, we can open this trap door and let your, guy friend out and stuff. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you either want the girl or you don't. You can't let this dude out and get the girl still. Like, that's just how it is, man. Say, I don't know. Not that I'm petitioning for him to be that much of a villain to, like, kill the dude underneath the thing when he's drowning with a secret police buddy. Yeah, I don't know, man. What was he really thinking? Was he really thinking that he's going to let this dude out and she's still going to stay with him? Like, come on.
Yeah, but it's not like he's going to kill him and then she's like, well, he's dead. I'll stay with you now. I mean, either way, he's not getting the girl.
Right.
Yeah, true.
This guy was a deluded basement dweller simp, and an incel. And those guys sometimes have talents, and they might be able to create their own, improvised explosives, for instance, like the gunpowder or the oven or anything like that. And so they have all this knowledge that they could have applied to a life and made the world maybe a better place, but instead they got obsessed with some chick that they were staring at.
Yeah.
And they threw their lives away.
So there's the moral of the story. Work on yourself. Don't chase women.
Don't become the Phantom of the basement.
Chase success, not women, okay?
Yeah.
She did have, she had a kind of like a shallow character arc. There were moments where she's like, no, forget about me. Don't. She might have been using reverse psychology on her, proposed fiancé or what have you. I think because, it's like, oh, no, I don't want you to get hurt, right? Don't come, I'm writing you this letter and all this. But at the end, maybe she did that so, he would rescue her from the Phantom. I don't know.
She was trying to play hard to get, but at the same time, not? I don't know.
40 chess.
She was saying one thing, but she meant another.
Yes.
Yes, this is reverse psychology.
Yes.
Don't.
Yes.
I'm worried about you.
I don't want you to come get me. I want you to want to come and get me.
There you go.
That's it right there, man. You got it.
Well, on that note, it then brings us to the question, is this worth taking an hour and 31 minutes off of your death clock? Rick.
Hard pass. This is a hard no. Like, we've done a bunch of movies and stuff, and most of the time I'm like, yeah, man, it's probably worth it, depending on who you are. I don't care who you are, man. Don't watch this. I guess if you're really into the silent movie thing, you've probably already seen it, so I don't really have to say anything to you. If you haven't, because you're probably not into silent movies, it's a no, man. It's a definite no.
All right. Well, Tim, Rick has a hard no. Where are you at?
Listener, do you find that you have a hard time sleeping at night? Do you toss and turn and keep your partner awake? If you do, then the Phantom of the Opera is for you. Yes, you don't need melatonin or Unisom or Ambien anymore. Just slip this into your DVD player and you'll snore.
Facts.
All right, so that's two hard no's. Sleepy Joe, what do you say?
I did doze off a little bit. But I did also watch it at 2x speed. I did watch it with no sound whatsoever. And I saw so many things that this influenced that come to mind. I'm going to have to endorse it as a watch it at 2x the speed and don't lay down because you're going to fall asleep. You need to be sitting upright. There's fun to be had watching it. Just think, we talked about Saw. We talked about James Bond. We talked about all the many parodies of this in different versions. One thing we didn't talk about, that face reveal, the white mask, and then revealing the disfigured face. What does that make you think of?
It makes me think of Nosferatu, bro. That dude looked like a Nosferatu.
Kind of reminded me of that Cher film with Eric Stoltz.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go there too. I like The Mask.
But I was thinking Friday the 13th Part 3.
Okay.
Get the white mask, and then you take it off, and then you're horrified. And he kind of has a pig nose snout in Part 3 as well. So I think there was some inspiration from Lon Chaney in there. So this has definitely influenced more movies than we can even think of right now. So I would say I'm going to say it's worth your time watching at a faster speed.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of one reference that you had made. So you see that there's a lot of proto pop culture stuff in here, and I forgot to mention it, but there are certain scenes in here that kind of remind me of V for Vendetta, especially when he's got her held up in his lair. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when V held Evie in his underground former rail station.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat. I had a lot of feelings of that. But other than the pop culture references, I'm gonna go with our other gentleman here, and I'm gonna say no, it's not worth watching. It's not taking time off your death clock. Just watch a clip of the reveal of Lon Chaney as the Phantom, and that's really all you need to know. Everything else is just seriously long exposition. Go find the book by Gaston Lemuel on Phantom of the Opera and read that instead. All right, well, that now ends our review of Phantom of the Opera. Feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your feedback. We love the fact that you leave us comments on Spotify, App, and YouTube. Keep leaving it. Keep letting us know what you think of these episodes. Let us know what you think. We want to hear more of it. Send us some feedback through email as well. You can email our show at manreviewpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll even read your email right here on the show. Hey, Tim. Have you noticed how long our episodes seem to go when we record?
Matt. Of course, I have. I'm one of the freaking editors. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we both have to deal with all the ums and the no's and the audio leveling. Don't get me started on Joey's long diatribes about bad horror movies.
Hey, those are well thought out opinions.
Okay. This is a 30-second ad. All right, Matt. What is your point?
Well, there's this really cool service out there called podedit.com where they will edit the podcast for you. Imagine you not having to spend hours listening to your own voice only to determine that it just doesn't flow right. The team at PodEdit will spend their time and energy bringing you a high-quality production edit.
All right. Where can we get more info on this service, Matthew?
Well, it's right there in the name, podedit.com. If you love the podcast, but you don't always have time to edit, then check them out at podedit.com. And hey, tell them that Ma'am sent you for a special 25% discount on your first 6 episodes.
Guys, really, Lloyd Kaufman is a freaking genius.
With that being said, gentlemen, what is your favorite version of Phantom of the Opera? Which one would you promote the heck out of? I'll go to you first, Joey, because I have a feeling I know which one you're going to mention.
I was going to say this one. What did you think I was going to mention?
I thought you might mention the one with Robert Englund from 1989.
No, that's trash. Robert Englund says it's trash, too. They really tried to piggyback on Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I remember very vividly the home video cover was showing him like partially revealing the makeup underneath of the mask, and of course it looks like a burned Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
So I don't think, if I remember correctly from interviews, Robert Englund didn't even know they were going to go that route with it, and then he was kind of just disappointed by it all, but it was a paycheck. So absolutely not that version. That's horse shit. There's probably like videotaped versions of the 19 or maybe even the 90s Andrew Lloyd Webber. I'd like to watch that. I would probably go to see a performance of that, but I can't speak to it being good or not because I haven't seen it. So definitely don't watch Phantom of the Paradiso. That's got some really cool visuals in it, but it was too far out there for me. I've seen parts of that. I'm gonna have to go with this version.
Gotcha. All right, well, how about you, Rick? Do you got any versions of Phantom of the Opera that you would prefer?
I've only seen this one, aside from the 5 minutes of the 2004 version, which I haven't seen, so I can't really endorse it. But I can say that I do plan on watching that in the next coming weeks. It's definitely going to be something I'm going to watch. I just got to coordinate with my son. I want to watch it with my son. But it looks good. I mean, from what I've seen, and I'm looking at the reviews and stuff on IMDb, and it's a 7.2 out of 10, which is probably pretty all right, So that's what I would say. I not obviously can't endorse it though, but yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Tim, how about you? Any Phantom of the Opera out there that you would promote or suggest over this one?
I have a real problem with Phantom of the Opera. Basically, because anytime somebody brings it up, I instantly associate it with the 1980s Broadway Phantom of the Opera play that ran for like 10,000 years.
Right.
That I had no desire in my teenage years to want to see. And so I don't associate it with being a horror film or being cool in any way, shape, or form. So I have no desire in my life to seek out and watch other Phantom of the Operas, but I will take the road less traveled, much like Joey did last week when he brought up the Castlevania video game during your favorite Dracula. But I'm going to take a little twist on that. I'm going to bring up one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, The Phantom of the Opera.
Nice.
And it's really awesome cover art with Eddie as the Phantom. So if I am going to revisit the Phantom of the Opera, it will be as I listen to my Iron Maiden disc, whether it be, a concert such as Live After Death, or the original early 80s recordings of the Phantom of the Opera, All the Animals.
Nice. Well, the only Phantom of the Opera reference that I would be willing to mention is actually something from a 2003 film starring everyone's favorite Scottish actor, Sean Connery. And that is a brief fictional character called the Phantom in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's the only Phantom that I can think that I like.
Wait a second. What about that movie Phantoms?
Oh.
Ben Affleck.
Yo, Ben Affleck was a bomb in Phantoms, yo!
All right. Well, Tim, you want to take us home?
Thanks for listening to Middle Age Reviews and our review of The Phantom of the Opera. I know we had a hard time staying awake during it, but hopefully you stayed awake for our review. And if you did stay awake, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share with your friends. Because if you share with your friends, even just one, we could double our viewership and our subscriptions. And that would make Matthew so very happy. And not only that, but once you share it with them, it leaves a built-in conversation over the weekend during drinks when your friends tell you how stupid you are for recommending our podcast.
Follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Have a comment or suggestion, then email the show at manreviewpodcast.
Yeah, don't get hung up on any chick on OnlyFans, dude. Just I don't know. Just save up. Don't do whatever awful shit you have planned, and please just drive to a state where prostitution is legal and be kind to others. I don't care how ugly you are. You're just gonna have to pay more, but you can pay for sex. Just remember, they don't like you. It's a transaction. Good night.
Thanks. Stay cool. Bye, everyone.